So the next Doctor, after David Tennant, was going to be a hefty role to fill. I mean, David Tennant was one of the most popular Doctors ever on Doctor Who, so there was some slightly big shoes to fill. Well, the next one was Matt Smith, and he definitely proved he had power over it. I mean, the 11th Doctor, played by Matt Smith, is technically number 13, due to the fact that the War Doctor didn't get a number, and then 10 ended up using up 2 regenerations. But so technically, Matt Smith is the 13th Doctor, but we refer to him as the 11th as he was the 11th one we met. Now, he was in the role for 4 years and 3 complete seasons from 2010 to 2013. And in that time, he was in 44 episodes covering 39 separate stories, which is pretty respectable. Not quite as many as David Tennant managed, which was 47, but he definitely managed a good run. Now, he also, in his time, had four televised companions. There was also supposedly a reptilian one, which I remember from Doctor Who magazine, but I can't remember what he was called, so for the time being, we're not going to count him. And I know there are going to be people who say, you didn't include Handles on the list. I mean, Handles was with him for 300 years. Yes, Handles was with him for 300 years, but the fact still remains, Handles only appeared in one episode. Yes, it was 300 years, but only one episode. I'm not going to count Handles. Maybe I'll count him as a special companion, but Handles does not make it into my list of full-on companions for me. I mean, he had, throughout his time, 4 main companions. Those being Amy Pond, played by Karen Gillan, and her boyfriend and eventual husband, Roy Williams, played by Arthur Darvill. Both of them have gone on to do great things, including the Jumanji franchise, The Guardians of the Galaxy, and Legends of Tomorrow and Broadchurch. The two of them were there for Matt's first 2 years, and also for half of Series 7. So they were with him for a fairly long time. And the other one who I feel I have to mention from this particular run was also River Song. River Song is kind of, whether you could debate whether she's a proper companion or not, she was introduced in David Tennant's era, and she definitely proved a rather interesting companion, especially her being met out of order. That was quite fun. Played by Alex Kingston, and the two of them had some legitimate good chemistry. Now, the last companion who I thought to mention here is Clara Oswald, played by Jenna Coleman, who was there for Matt's final year and the final half of Series 7. Which, yeah, I mean, the way she was introduced was fun. I do think she worked better with the 12th Doctor, who we'll get to. But, for her first run, she was pretty good here. Now, he also had a selection of special companions who I've already mentioned Handel, so I'm not going to mention any more about that. You already know my feelings on that. But he also had several more, including a young Kazran Sardik, played at various points by actors like Lawrence Belcher and Michael Gambon. There's also a few more in between, but I'm not going to push it because I don't actually remember. He also had a World War II housewife named Madge Arwell, played by Claire Skinner, and, of course, the Paternoster Gang. It's a kind of detective group set in Victorian London, played by Neve McIntosh, Catherine Stewart, and Dan Starkey, who did actually prove to be very popular, returning several times in the era of the 11th Doctor and at the start of the 12th Doctor's era. Now, over his 4 years and 3 series on the show, he did manage to have quite a lot of iconic adventures. Some people consider best, those including Vincent and the Doctor's Wife, The Angels Take Manhattan, and The Rings of Akaten. And he also had a couple that I consider guilty pleasures, that I will admit aren't necessarily the best episodes, but ones I enjoy, such as The Lodger and Closing Time. Hey, that's another on and off companion who had, Craig Owens, played by James Corden. Check out those episodes, they're pretty good. Dinosaurs on a Spaceship and Nightmare in Silver. As well as, of course, the 50th anniversary celebration, The Day of the Doctor, which you got a load of Doctors all in one, including John Hurt's War Doctor, David Tennant's 10th, and Matt Smith as the 11th. Now, the 11th Doctor's tenure ultimately ended in 2013. Shortly after the finale of Series 7, The Name of the Doctor, it was announced the 50th anniversary would take place, and then Jenna Coleman announced over the news that she would be staying on to do one more series, to another series as companion along with Matt Smith. However, shortly after this, Matt Smith also announced that he was going to leave the role. And his Doctor eventually met his end in the 2013 Christmas special, The Time of the Doctor. And surprisingly enough, this cause of death of the Doctor was old age. I mean, as I mentioned earlier on in this video, the 11th Doctor is technically the 13th. Basically meaning that in the rules of Time Lords, they're allowed 12 regenerations, 13 versions of themselves. After that, they have to, if they want to live longer, they have to go back to the Time Lords and ask them for more regenerations. However, with the Time Lord seemingly gone in this version of reality, it seemed like he was going to meet his demise. However, in the Day of the Doctor, they managed to save Gallifrey and save it to a pocket universe. And one of the big plot points of the Time of the Doctor is that there's the crack in time that we saw back in Series 5 is now in the Trenzalore Church, with the Doctor's death ultimately due to take place on Trenzalore. However, Clara manages to plead through the gap in the universe to the Time Lords on the other side to help the Doctor. And thus, although he is seemingly dying of old age, and his old enemies, the Daleks, they don't want to kill him because they know he's dying already, so they're too scared to do so, fearing he's already got something up his sleeve. They're just prepared to watch him die, until the Time Lords open up another crack in the sky and give him a whole new set of regenerations. Now, as of the 2020 Series 12, this might seem a little redundant now, but we didn't know about that at the time. So the Doctor uses the regeneration power to not only heal himself into a brand new body, after briefly resetting himself, but also to destroy the Daleks and largely cripple them for a while. He ultimately returns to his TARDIS, and after saying goodbye to Clara and hallucinating a brief farewell to Amelia Pond, he immediately regenerates, shock horror, into Doctor number 12. So that's really all you need to know about the 11th Doctor. He's got some good parts in there, he's got some good stories, some ones that I enjoy personally, and he had some really good companions. Yeah, that's all you really need to know. Anyway, next up, the 12th Doctor. When I get around to something about him, I'll let you know. Until then, see ya.